Welcome to a new episode of Ancestral Healing with Alida. Today I have a special guest that it's been a long time that I've been trying to meet her. Her name is Jenna Zell. Jenna is the owner of Jenna Zell Energy Healing. She is a Qigong practitioner, Reiki master, and certified singing bowl and meditation facilitator. She's dedicated to holistic wellness and drawing from her personal journey of recovery, she passionately guides others toward healing. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you.
Where are you located?
I'm in Saugus, and my studio's in Saugus as well.
Okay. That's in Massachusetts, correct?
Yes, Saugus, Massachusetts.
Do you do all of your sessions in person or you do some online?
I do some online as well. It's funny. It's kind of moved towards like half and half. I have half of my clients remote and half of them in person.
Okay. Yeah, I do usually. I think that well, that's what I said. Some people they are hesitant about how you can work with energy from not being at the same place, but actually energy is what guides us, all of us, right? The morphogenetic field. I always say this story because I see my family, my mother, my sister, when my father was alive, I will do some energy work and it will have effect, right? So I can see that it works.
I actually had an experience. I was working with a practitioner in Nicaragua, and she was working on me. I was the client, and I could see her a shadow, like her energy body, and I knew her hair was in a ponytail. And I said to her, Katrin, is your hair in a ponytail? And she's like, it is. I could see her energy body in the physical. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
that's amazing. Like, I
Yeah.
love those stories because it's like the real proof, because that's what it happens with me with clients. Like, the way that energy work is not only under the five senses that we are supposed to have, right?
Yes.
It goes beyond. It doesn't have to, I don't have to have a chart or a report of how it was. And you seeing, yes, that's a main sense that we have, right? Our vision, but also give you reassurance that it was happening, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So I want to share with you a statement from Jerry Tennant. And Jerry Tennant believes that the voltage of the cells are the ones that allow you to heal or to have a proper function in the physical body. And he said that when the voltage of your cells is low, the body cannot produce enough energy to heal or function properly. Frequency therapies like PEMF can recharge cells, raising their voltage and promoting repair. But actually, what you do with every single, like the Reiki, the Qigong, sound
Both.
healing, all of that are frequencies, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, how do you, if I ask you, what is energy healing and how does it relate to trauma stored in the body? What will be your point of view about this?
Well, to relate to the cells, I believe that we're all really at the core made up of energy. It's just we're all energetic beings. And so emotions are to me energy and motion. And when we don't release them, like we see animals in the wild when they're scared, they end up shaking, right? They shake off the fear after. Well, as humans, we've kind of learned to just kind of hold. To show emotion isn't necessarily like seen as a positive thing. It's better to be more stoic. And that's like as we've grown as a society, like expectations on us placed on us. So I think we see a lot nowadays of physical disease coming up because people are storing emotions in the body and holding on to the trauma instead of being able to release it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think really a lot of mental illness, physical illness is stems from energy. It all comes down to like the trauma and emotions we're holding in the body.
About the shaking, I took a training in what is called Touch for Health. And Touch for Health is like we call it like energy medicine, energy kinesiology. It works with the meridians of the body. And so you have different areas that you touch to improve the function of your energy overall, right? Of the meridians that are the channels. And when I shake my body, like they shake the same that the dog, right? Gets scared and then like you feel relief. You feel relief. And I always try to shake my body at least once a day because there is always something happening, and I think that it makes a difference.
Well, there's actually an exercise, a Qigong exercise called trembling horse. And so it's like a technical, they have like a name for it. And it's literally just shaking the body, shaking the energy out of your system and releasing. The releasing is so important because if you don't release, I also think like moving in another direction, we just kind of cycle these emotions because the subconscious and the body do want to release it. So that's where the patterns of behavior happen, where we're constantly triggered by different scenarios, but the same emotion, the same root of like
Exactly.
abandonment, anger, sadness, whatever, because the body wants to release it.
Yes. And for me, from the physical disruption that happens, I see that, for example, let's see, like someone comes with a lot of insomnia, right?
Yes.
And that insomnia is created possibly in the person's own experience, traumatic experience, but it could be intergenerational, which means that the mother, while he was carrying this baby, this client, went into a car accident, right? Or the grandfather died in the war. It could be all of these three situations. But the thing is, like, the trauma wasn't processed because if those scenarios happen and they were processed, you took the time, the grieving, the morning, you shake it, then you didn't have the chance to pass it along to someone else,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And I think that that's where you get to the root cause because then, because you did store it in the body, it's going to create acidification. And for me, cancer, that I think that cancer doesn't mean death from
Yes.
what I have seen, clients that I have seen. It's just like the body telling you, look, you never saw this. I'm tired. Now you have the chance to pay attention to this, besides any other holistic or any treatments that you want to do. But I think that everything is connected to a stored emotion that hasn't been processed.
I totally agree. Absolutely. I've seen it time and time again with clients coming in. During my sessions, I've also seen like energy cords. Is that something you're familiar with too? Like the energy cords to like people, places, things. And so a client will tell me like, I've had like a sore. A lot of times there's sometimes here in we carry so much tension and stress in the shoulders. I'll see like an energy cord to a person, place, or thing, and when we release it, they'll message me and say like, "Oh, I don't have this pain anymore." It's all stems from the subconscious beliefs, the energy we're holding on to.
I'm going to move a little bit into my family constellation thing, okay?
Okay.
Because, so for example, I saw a client, he started developing asthma when he was 17. So that's later in life, right?
Yes. Yes.
17, and he will have the same recurrent dream that he will be, that he couldn't breathe, that he was getting drowned. So he's 17. Usually, if something happens under 21, 20 years old, it's not yours, right? It hasn't been created by your own experience. So when we start doing the constellation, the session, the his uncle died. He was drowned in a lake, and but the middle name of my client was the uncle's name.
Wow.
So it was yes, he was repeating the same sensation, and probably he had a cord or something here stuck, correct?
Yes.
But it was also the story that he was repeating to be repaired.
Yes. And I
It's
also
fascinating.
think it's so crazy too. Like I see, like with therapy, like you can process these things, but until the energy is removed from it, because that's the real root, the energy of it being the stored energy. Until that's released, you just continue to cycle with the same pattern over and over. You can be aware of it, but once it's released, that's when the thoughts change about it as well.
That's what I like, and I respect every single field of healing, right?
Hmm.
Even the doctors that I don't agree
Me
with them,
too.
I respect them. But for me, psychotherapy, the talking, if there's no unblocking of that emotion that is coming to me because I'm living it again, it's happening to me again. It's like I'm at the same moment in this situation, I'm getting drowned. If I don't remove it, this that happens what you were saying. Then I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep repeating because it's the same.
Yes. I think it's so important to
So yeah.
incorporate like all the different modalities to have like a team working together, like the body, mind, and spirit, you know?
Yeah, but yes, that will be the ideal scenario. But I see the doctors are so resistant,
Yes, yes, I agree. I
are
know.
like so resistant, and that's what like had a conversation, not a conversation. It turned, I think, into something like a discussion. I posted the other day about we are moving. I told you so.
Yes.
My dog Vivi, she passed on March 2nd, 2022, and so now we have a bunny that acts, I think that is Vivi, because he does exactly every single thing that my dog will do, and he's free. So he's like a dog. I open the door and he kisses me and all the things. But I want a dog. So I was checking places that I can rescue dogs here in Massachusetts. And I used to rescue dogs in Peru. I used to rescue dogs up until I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter. And they were asking me for requirements that for me weren't like, okay, I see life very holistically.
Yes.
But also, they were asking me to hire a trainer, right? For 1 year, something like that. So for me, it was like, what, do you think that I can like train my dog? So I posted, and a woman who is very nice, but she's a wildlife rehabilitator in Massachusetts. She was saying like, what you were saying is wrong, because all these steps should happen for a dog. That's the right thing to do. So then I say like, the truth is not universal. Your truth is one, my truth is another one. It's based in that perspective, right? So what I feel with doctors is that they have that's the same statements. They say like, this is my truth and this is your truth as well.
Yes.
And I don't like that.
I agree. It could be, I mean, the same emotion could be coming up for multiple people, but it could all be stemming from different, very different traumas. So what works for one person may not necessarily work for another.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think that maybe there is a resistance because they were training one way, and you're training this way, and that's the way that
Yes.
you that's the way that you see the world.
Yes, absolutely. I always try to, I was actually having a conversation with someone the other day about like the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and see that like life is very, we all come from very different perspectives and it's very different for everyone. We can experience the same thing and have very different feelings come up about it.
Yes, yes,
Very
yes. So
interesting.
tell me more. I know that my husband, he practiced when he was young Qigong, but in a class setting. So what is it, the difference between Qigong? What gives me Qigong that is different from other energy modalities that you practice also in other energy modalities?
So Qigong is, I will say, Qigong's my favorite. I feel it's so in depth and I love the idea of clearing out the energy of the organs, which is what I do during one-on-one sessions. In Chinese medicine, like for instance, the lungs hold sadness, grief, and the liver holds anger, resentment, rage. And I started to notice that once we cleared out the organs, and not a lot of people do that as well. Like Qigong is still kind of a newer thing, especially the medical Qigong, what I went to school for. They don't do medical Qigong sessions usually. And it kind of aligns the chakras once you clear out the organs. Things just kind of come up and release on their own. Like I'll see a chakra, for instance, I'll do the medical Qigong and then I'll go over the chakras to see what they look like after. And one will already be like bubbling, ready to be released. Like the energy will want to come out. It will be like already kind of, it would already be ready to be released.
And you do that sessions, I'm sorry, one on one or in person or online as well.
I do both, one on one and in person and remote.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I do the medical qigong, and that the medical qigong sessions is when you're just laying there, and I do the work. But then the qigong also gives you the tools to be able to do the work on your own with these movements and clear out the energy by yourself. So I like to do the classes as well to teach people like once we do a few sessions to start to teach them some of these movements so that they can go home and continue to practice and continue to release on their own, and not
Yes.
just release and rebuild, create a new foundation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that's the thing with trauma, I think too. Like there is this medicine that I like from the Amazon that is called Chirixanango. So Chirixanango resets your nervous system, is good for pain, but for not only physical pain, it's also good for pain in the soul. right?
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
was painful. So the thing with Chirisanango is not only that it resets the nervous system, is that it rewires the stress response. And that's what you are saying, because you create a new foundation. So my response is different, right?
Yes. I've seen that so much with so many of my clients. Like I had a client who's been seeing me for probably 6 months now, and she is a different woman, like a conscious woman now. Versus before she was someone that like never thought of herself. I was just constantly like doing, going, doing for everyone else. And now she's like thinking of herself, thinking of her well-being, and her life has drastically shifted for the better.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen overnight as well. It needs time. Like everything, it needs time. You need time to process and grow.
I made a video actually, I think last week or 2 weeks ago about this. Is that, look, chemotherapy, what's the other one? Immunotherapy, radiation, they give you at least 2 years, if not more. Like, for
Yes.
example, to my father in law, they told him that he has to do it forever and ever. That's one. Second one, an autoimmune disease, the treatments, sometimes they don't even find the treatments. They just are like, give you a pill so you don't have pain, right? So you are not healed. Anxiety and depression. My mother, she's been 30 years or 25 years in SSRIs, clonazepam and sertraline, and she's still not off. So treatments take a long time, but those treatments don't get to the root cause.
Yes.
But energy healing takes sessions to keep check the layers, but they get to the root cause. So
Yes.
when someone comes and tell me like, not all the time, but some people they will say, like, how many sessions? And I say like, it depends. We can muscle test, but it depends of how you are feeling. You will have now the tools to see how you are gonna feel, right?
Yes. Absolutely. I feel the same way about that. It just depends on the person. For me, it also depends on like during sessions, I'll receive messages from their like guides or angels telling me like they should do this or that, and it also takes action from the client's part, like to go home and do those things and implement those changes. And it moves more quickly obviously when I tell them like you can come here and do the work and I'll reset you, and but if you don't make the changes and the shifts on your own, it's gonna take much longer. It's like taking action on your own part. But I also recognize like for a long time when you feel when your energy is so depleted, like it's hard to make those changes. So it's important to come to someone and have them assist you like and refill you, and like so you feel revitalized enough to start to make the shifts, because if you're like drowning, it's very hard to stay above water.
Yes, but I'm gonna say something that I think. We are so scared of getting off our comfort zone, right? It's
Yes.
scary. So if I ask, because if I'm gonna do any session, usually I will do some recommendations, right? It's up to you to do it or not do it, right? But I'm giving you the recommendation based on what I'm seeing right now. So how much action and responsibility I'm taking of my own health, my own will, is the most important thing in my healing process.
Yes.
So, but I am very drastic, I might say. I mean, you do it, right? Like, who is more important than I am? If I am, for example, you are a mother, right? You are the center of the household. Besides, like the man is 50%, but you are the one that organizes, like
Yes,
it
makes things
needs
run.
you.
Yes.
So if I don't take care of myself, who is gonna do it?
Yes. And I want my children to see me knowing that I'm important enough to take care of myself and go after these things and heal. And they're I think they learn more from watching how you behave and what you do than you
Yes,
telling them what to do. So if they're
exactly.
seeing like mom, they see me like mom goes and teaches meditation, mom does her own healing. I went to Mexico recently and I left the kids with my husband. He took them, which I was so grateful for a week, and to go do Ibogaine to heal. The plant medicine's an African plant, and that was a life-changing experience for me as well. But I'm always willing and open to like try things and like to get to the root cause, and really it comes down to wanting to free yourself.
The more you free yourself, the more you free your kids too.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So everything, because everything is energy, if I feel better and I'm doing better, the consequence is gonna be my children are gonna be better.
Yes.
And yes, I love that. Yesterday my daughter was helping me to bottle some tinctures,
Uh-huh.
sarsaparilla. So I asked her, but naturally I asked her, do you know what is this for? But she has heard me, right? So that's that in a natural conversation or doing or seeing me doing stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
So she said like, well, what I know is like it looks like blood. So it helps you with your blood, which is true. That's the main thing. That's about sarsaparilla.
Yeah.
So I said like, yeah. So I was like, I felt very proud of her, like you to know, how to use some herbs and to identify things.
That's amazing. I love that. They do. They learn so much from us as well.
So if I ask you about, let's go back to this. If I ask you about qigong movements or the main practices in a daily basis, what would you recommend? So what is your movement, the main one that you like?
Well, the one that I can show you one. It's very simple. It's connecting heaven and earth energy, and it's called. I'm sorry. I'm gonna plug my computer in really quick so it doesn't die, and then I'll show you the movement. So you're just standing with your feet straight. I know you can't see my feet; they're just straight, and it all comes in the breath as well. Breathing into the lower dantian, the lower stomach, and out. And you're just gonna raise your arms and bring in earth energy, which is gold, and then you flip your arms.
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, we can do
Can
it
I?
together.
Okay.
So you bring in earth energy up, golden, beautiful golden earth energy. Flip the hands, collect heaven energy, which is silver, and wash it over your body. And that will just help you ground.
Okay, so you imagine the gold energy here
Yes, silver,
and silver.
and wash it over your body. I always think as I go down, I think like clearing, cleansing, releasing.
Yeah, yeah, I like
Doesn't it
it.
just already kind of?
And can you show me the horse that you said, or is it too
Yeah,
hard?
yeah. This is the trembling horse, the shaking. You start in the hands, you shake the arms, bring it all the way down the body, and three,
3 times.
three times. One exhale on the down. You can kind of slam your heels down as well. Two.
I love it, Jenna. Jenna Zell. I really like it. I really like
Good.
it. Yeah, I
Those are
really
two
like it.
very simple movements. There's movements to help specifically clear lungs, liver, heart, spleen, and simple things you can do to help also release, shake out, release trauma. The trembling horse is one of the main ones for releasing, purging. But I find it's called pulling down the heavens, the one where we collected the earth and then heaven energy. I just find that very grounding and it kind of brings you back into the present moment.
That's yeah. We we need that.
Yes, right? Just bring yourself back. And I do that consistently throughout the day, bring myself back. Another little tip, this isn't necessarily a Qigong tip, but I've learned a lot of my clients, it helps to tell them to just feel your feet, bring yourself back into the body, and bring your awareness to the present moment.
And how did you get what was your life before qigong?
It was a mess. But I look at it as like such a blessing because it brought me to where I am today. It got to the point where I was very exhausted all the time. And I started using opiates. For some reason, opiates have the effect on me, they give me more energy. So I was actually using opiates to get through. I was doing pre medical. I wanted to be a naturopathic doctor. And so to do all these pre med and bio classes, I was taking opiates to do the homework and get through, and I couldn't function. I was crying when I would wash my hair in the shower. I was crying to like lift my arms. My whole body hurt. Trauma. Now I can look back and say I was so filled with trauma, and I'm also very sensitive to energy, which I learned a little bit down the road. Long story short, I was in active addiction. I was spiritually dying, like drained, and I just couldn't function. I wasn't happy at all. Finally, because of the addiction, I told my parents, they helped get me into a rehab in Florida that was more like an ashram. It was more of a spiritual center. They didn't really know at the time, but it was all kind of meant to be. Like I feel like my destiny, you know? And I went to this spiritual center and they wanted me to do this. It's called Kai Chi Do. It was like a dance. It was similar to Qigong actually, but it was like a spiritual practice. I started doing this dance and it was to release energy, releasing. It's with the movement, the shaking and the movement helped release the energy. And then we moved into a meditation after the dance. And this is like my first awakening. The guide he told us to close our eyes and he was going to take us through the dimensions. And I was like, I didn't know anything about spirituality at this point. It was just kind of like, I was just there they wanted me to participate. I was like, I'll do it, whatever. So I closed my eyes and he's like, we're going to go through the first dimension. And in my mind's eye, I saw myself running through a corridor it was like lit up, like doors lit up. I see first, and then he goes, now we're moving through the second. I'm still running again through the second, third, running, fourth. I get to the fourth, and I feel a rush of fear, like terrified. And I kind of pull back, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I had my eyes closed, and I saw like a storm happening in my mind's eye. Like I saw lightning, and then just a storm. And this storm threw me into a physical panic attack. I was like physically hyperventilating. I passed out. So after I was very confused about what had happened. I woke up and I was confused. I was crying and it was terrifying. And the guide suggested, and I still to this day, I think in a sense, my state of consciousness, he's like, you were in like a hell realm. Like the state of consciousness was so low that I was so stuffed with all this trauma that's why I couldn't function. That's why my subconscious was in this storm, this terrifying storm, and I was living from that. And I after I had that release, I broke out in like a rash all over my face. I experienced like physical symptoms, but I had so much energy. Like I was running on the treadmill every morning. I was like functioning like a normal person, like getting up in the morning. I would sleep all day before this. Like this was not normal. And I felt more clear. And I was like, this is insane. This was crazy. That I couldn't believe it. And then another situation quickly like happened while I was there. Again, we were doing this Kai Chi Do, and I started hearing like in my head as we were doing it, like the girl next to me was so sad. I'm like, she's so sad. Why is she so sad? And my mind kept cycling like that, like telling me she's sad, she's sad. And then the guide again asked us to hold hands. And her energy, my hands started shaking, and her energy came into my body and threw me into a panic attack again. And I was like, wow, like I learned I was highly sensitive, highly intuitive, and that's when this journey really began. Like I was like, there is something to this. Like I need to figure out this path now, like discover like what I need to do from here.
That's
So
amazing, right?
yeah, it was like that was the first awakening.
Because we all have our, well, I think that everyone who is more, well, I think that we all are spiritual, but we are not aware of that. So I think that people who are aware of being spiritual, they have had a situation like yours, like mine, like, like something, a breakup point that you say like, oh my God, I can go this way instead of living the other way, right?
Yes. Yes. And it's brought me, it hasn't been like a linear journey. There's ups and downs. It was like kind of getting through active addiction. It was still like I saw the light that during that treatment, but it was still hard. It was like this fight to climb. But life today is like beautiful. Like my business is flourishing. My husband is very spiritual as well. We have two beautiful boys that we're raising to like know all these modalities and tools to have to be able to, we're 4 and 1. Yes, yes, yeah. They're but my 4-year-old asked me to do meditations every night now.
That's
So
nice.
cute. And that makes me so happy that he knows that he's like a spiritual being living in the physical. And you can
Hmm.
incorporate that into your life no matter what you do.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think that well, I respect every single style of parenting, right? But I think that the spiritual way is the way to raise a child.
Yeah, because their state of consciousness. I also believe when you come into this earth, your state of consciousness is super high. So I'm learning from them as
Very high.
well how to
It's
just
very
be.
high.
Yes,
When I have done past life regressions, I have seen, so I have read a lot of books about past life regressions also. So the peak of their consciousness is up until 6, 7 years old. So you have to be very aware of the things that they say, how they draw, because they have all these downloads, right?
yes, yes. It's beautiful to watch them and the way they move in the world, and learn how to just play again and just be here and be present and happy and just not have the weights.
Yeah, yeah. I I think there is a constant for me. I'm still healing of specific things now that I have, like trauma from inner child, basically, my childhood, but it's not is I'm not reacting to those things. Like I can see them like moving away, right? Like I am almost at the end of this process, and it's something really good.
Yes. And it's so when we look at it in a sense of like there's always something to learn and uncover, it makes it more interesting and fun instead of just being like I have to do more healing. It's like a journey.
Yes, yes.
Just
And
taking it as it comes.
it's just like you have to. I was talking to my husband yesterday. He was struggling with a situation, and I think that my husband is way more spiritual than I am. But even though he's that way, he was struggling with a very physical situation with a relationship interaction. So I told him, like, you remember, it's like a wave. You how many times, like, how many videos you have done about this, right? But it's hard to put it together if you have a pattern, right?
Yes, absolutely. When you're in it and connected, it makes it much more difficult because it's easy to
Yeah.
kind of get the downloads and see. And, I always have I feel like I do have a sense of awareness of the way what I need to do to make things better and smoother for myself from like a, I always look at things from like a higher perspective. And then when you're in it and it's personal, it's like a lower point of view where you want to react and want to like be mad but there's always like a lesson and like a higher perspective to look at things from as well.
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. It's something for the greater consciousness, right? Not for the individual.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So, what are the upcoming events that you are having, like circles, maybe meditations? Where is it in your calendar now?
In my studio, I'm doing I do meditations. It's guided meditation, sound bath, and Reiki every Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the studio. I'm also going to be hosting a women's retreat. There's 10 spots available. It's in Randolph, New Hampshire, September 11th through 14th. It's a beautiful villa. We have a gourmet chef coming, and there's going to be lots of healing work done. I'm going to be doing breath work, meditations. I'm offering free one on one sessions post the retreat, and just kind of starting to form a community of women that are all in this together and want to heal and like work through their stuff and have support.
Yeah, that's something wonderful. Women's retreats are amazing.
Yes. Oh, there's nothing like it. I've been doing retreats, like going on them for the past 10 years. So now to be able to host and like step into that is so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's something amazing. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very glad that we got to meet each other.
I
And
know.
can you share with me your website?
Yes, definitely. The
So your
website's
website is
jennazell.com.
all right. And are you on Instagram or Facebook?
Yes, Jenna Zell Energy Healing.
All right. All right. So I'm just gonna also put it here in the captions so people can follow you and find you more easy.
Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you.
Thank you, Jenna. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.